So a half man, half horse walks into a bar and the bartender goes, "Hey, why the long face?" And he cries and he says, "Because I lost to Heije." Welcome back, Classic Crew, to another Bloodborne Journal as I journey through Bloodborne for the first time and try to slay all 22 bosses. And last time there were 7, now there are 4. So much progress has been made. The horse and the man who's the horse, or the horse who's the man, there's a lot of horse and man put together, is dead. I killed Ludwig. My first real wall of Bloodborne has fallen, and it took some time. I mean, I think in total it was 4 hours between the 2 streams. I'm so glad it didn't take an entire stream to go through. But once I cleared him, the other 2 after were pretty nice and comfortable, and I don't know what lies beyond. So I'm in this kind of happy, innocent or ignorant or both place where everything's beautiful again, because we don't know what pain awaits in the last 4 bosses of this challenge. But anyways, so as I went back into the Ludwig fight, this is where my notes are, I went in with the strategy, okay, when we get into phase 2, I'm going to not lock onto him and roll. I found out very quickly that is not the way to go. I don't know how these other YouTubers do it. I was watching them, I was like, oh, that looks really good and really easy. You just roll, 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 smack. When I did it, it was roll, smack, 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 where I was getting smacked. So I was like, this doesn't feel right. The camera's going everywhere. It's confusing. So I locked in and I just learned to jump through his attacks, which took quite a while. I've also switched to the cleaver. So I went in, I was like, oh, let's try how it feels with the switch blade or whatever it's called. And as I was going in it, I realized my stamina management was a lot easier with this weapon. It's also the weapon I've been using for most of my playthrough, so I'm a lot more comfortable with it. I don't really want to learn a new weapon at this stage, and I was enjoying myself. So phase 1, I was getting through it a lot more consistently, and it was just more comfortable to fight with that flexibility of, 3 hits and my stamina's gone. I couldn't do that with the Ludwig sword, but with the cleaver, whatever it's called, the switch cleaver, that worked better. So I took some time to go and level it up because it wasn't up to snuff. So we leveled it up, and then I still was having troubles with phase 2, and I was getting frustrated that it was taking me so long to get to phase 2, and I was like, I got to do more damage on phase 1 so I can practice phase 2 more often. Like, phase 1 is just taking me so long to get through. By the time I get to phase 2, I'm either almost dead or I'm just tired or it's not working. So a viewer suggested that they suggested a dungeon for me to go and grind out gems, which is something I have not really done in this game, gem grinding. So I went to this dungeon where you go in and you fight kind of one of those like ogre dudes, mobs, ogre guys. And he was pretty easy. You jump into the ring with him, you wait for him to like lift his sword, you shoot him in the face, and then you start. You do that a few times, and then sometimes he drops 3 like healing things, or he will drop a really good gem. So I did that for about a half hour or so, and ended up getting some really good gems, which ended up giving me like a plus in total. When I put the 2 gems in, I got over 100+ attack on my weapon. And while I was grinding him out, I was getting souls, or whatever it's called, echoes. And by the end of everything, I got to go back against Ludwig with another 10 levels. I did feel like I was a little bit underleveled for Ludwig. I think I was at like level 77, I want to say. But after I bumped it up to like the late 80s, I bumped up my weapon. It just felt like everything clicked. And of course, a few attempts, and I just got like a really nice break on Ludwig where I was like dodging right through all of his attacks. And I even got to do a visceral attack on him, which was super satisfying. And I killed him. And it was like, oh, the endorphin rush. It was so satisfying to kill this thing. I wasn't really like frustrated with him. It was just a fight where I just acknowledged I was missing that skill. And I'm just like, gotta get better, gotta get good. And I got good because I killed him. And then I talked to the head, and then the head explained, I forget what he explained, but basically he got his final moment. And I understand this is a character who lost himself to his nightmare, to his madness, to his lust, turned into a beast, but then he got to transform back temporarily into a human to have his final fight with me so he could die with honor. And then he talked to me as a decapitated head. Oh, this is what happened. His horse head was talking to me, and then he started going crazy, and I was like, Oh, and then I got the like super magical sword of the moon. I was like, oh, I can wield this. And then I saw, oh no, you need 50 arcane. Screw that. I have like 12. We're not going to use this. So then I kept exploring and made it to a place with 2 hunters, which they took me a little bit of time because I went for the girl who was like there, and then she's a caster, I learned. Didn't know that some douchebag would show up from behind me and like try to stab me. So that killed me. Second time, I'm like, all right, if I can kill the caster fast enough, I can deal with the guy after. Turns out I couldn't do DPS fast enough, so I got ganked and killed. And then finally, after a while, I realized, wait, what if we pull them amongst the beds, and I use the beds to separate them, very much like my Smo and what's his face. And that helped me clear them pretty easily. So then we went to the next section, which was actually quite fun to explore, was the hospital. It was quite comfortable. I still, to this point, don't understand. Before I got into the DLC, I was reading on message boards how difficult it was, you know, preparing myself mentally. And everybody was going on about, like, the message that I was reading was that monsters were killing people, like, super easy. And I have to say, if there's one thing I feel very comfortable with, is my just natural progression in the DLC. Bosses aside, the mobs and everything feel fine. Now, this is probably because you can access the DLC sooner, and perhaps these other members tried to attempt the DLC at like level 40 or 50. I think I'm at the right point, and it just like naturally lets me, like, the difficulty is ramping up nicely with where I'm at. So I got to explore the hospital. It's full of these like dudes who their brains or their heads like turn into tumors. I got to pick up my own tumor so I could blend in, but they didn't believe it because they still attacked me. So we had a good time. I killed everything in there, and I made it all the way to the top. It was kind of a cool level too, how you have to like, there's a bit of a puzzle element where you have to move the stairs, spin them to get to the right doorway. I quite enjoyed that area. I thought it was very well designed. Finally, I made it to a great metaphor for my life. I joke. This is the living failure boss. I was surprised that they would follow up Ludwig with a boss that was this easy. Like I was kind of wailing on these living failures. I'm like, okay, this is pretty easy. And then out of nowhere, I'm like, something's going to happen. There's going to be a phase 2. And of course, phase 2 shows up, and it's meteors that come out of the sky and just destroy me. So I'm like, all right, well, that's the gimmick. So then I learned that I can use like the sunflower in the middle to protect myself from the meteors, and you can see where the meteors are going to come from based on where the characters are looking. So once I got that in, I'm like, all right, meteor time, hide behind the sunflower, whack, 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 kill all the living failures. We overcame the living failures, therefore we are not a living failure. And if you've done it too, you're also, and actually, if you're viewing this, you're not a living failure at all. That's not even a joke. I'm going to go down the path. Which then led us immediately to the next boss, which I have to say, I think this is potentially, let me think about it. I think this is my favorite boss in Bloodborne. Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower. I got a crush on her immediately upon like encountering her. She is like, she's elegantly dressed. She knows how to fight. There's some nice music, beautiful scenery. She doesn't have cheesy one-liners or like that's taunting you all the time. She doesn't laugh in an annoying way. She doesn't have bullshit. She's just a freaking good hunter who knows how to dress well, and she will take you to town. And the dance, like, it was just so fun. Like, I'm just like, oh, I can just dodge through the attack, stab, dodge, stab, and it's just going back and forth. And then she's like, I'll stab myself, and I was like, you're what? And then she pulls blood out, and she's like, whoosh, whoosh, I got blood. So that made it intense. And then I got to phase 3 where she's like, whoosh, whoosh, more blood with fire. I was like, okay, stop it. You're just being ridiculous now. But I didn't really feel like, and this is at the end of the stream, so I'm 3 hours in. This is at the point where I tend to get tired, but I was really like motivated to fight her. I was really enjoying it. And I was just finding some good success in dodging. Like, it was really just the sidestep into her attack. So it's just wait, she attacks, you dodge into it so you don't get hit, then you're behind, you get a hit, and you just keep repeating that. And then even when she pulls out her blood, it's the same thing. You just gotta like dodge into the blood, and then when the fire comes out, it's a little bit trickier. You dodge through the blood, you get burnt a bit, but then you smack her, and she dies. And it was just like, I'm like, okay, why does From Software always put the good stuff like at the end of the journey? If it's anything like Dark Souls 3, where the final boss was a fantastic boss. I really enjoyed that one. So Lady Maria is currently my top boss. I think everybody loves Ludwig. I'm gonna say no. Lady Maria beats Ludwig hands down. I'll say Ludwig is the harder fight and maybe the more satisfying fight and the one that gives you more dopamine, but Lady Maria is better. So we're going to go with that. So I know I have 2 bosses left in the DLC. I hear that they are just as hard, if not harder than Ludwig. And then I've got my 2 story bosses, which are apparently also difficult, but I don't know to what level. So I am either 1 or 2 streams away from finishing this game. Unless I find another wall, then it could be another month or 2. So join me as I wrap this up. 4 bosses left, and Pledge will soon be complete. And then who knows where we go. Maybe we go to Elden Ring and have fun in that world. So I'll see you on the next journal or on the next stream. Until next time, keep it classy.